Hare Krishna Mataji. My pronouns. You're muted.
Okay, probably that's for the best. But
Krishna. So you managed to did know Gurutama Prabhu and others about Gaur Purnima?
we didn't meet them at all.
Mhm.
And I mean, we had I don't know, we don't have any answer yet.
Oh, that's
We will try to get one. That's all we can do. In fact, maybe
you have it muted. I don't know.
interesting. Sorry. Anyway, so somebody was supposed to write to them, but I didn't get added as a receiver, so I'm assuming that it hasn't happened. So maybe better I write to them. And I just said that maybe I'll use this time until devotees actually come and quickly write something. Oh.
That's good.
Nikunja Biharni?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Hare Krishna.
Disappeared.
Hare Krishna.
Just on the train?
Yes, I'm just going out of the train right now.
So you wrote to me that Maharaj is already on the third canto. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear.
So you wrote to me that Maharaj is already on the third canto. So that means we are way behind. How many classes he's giving a week?
No. We are not behind. Everything is okay. He's just reading on his own, and after that, devotees of a school of Bhagavatam, they are making materials, studying materials. Nobody studied all these lectures. He's just going on his own, but.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. And then you mentioned to me something about English material coming out on the 10th of March. Did I get that right?
English? What? Sorry?
Like English material coming out on the 10th of March, or did I?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So they kind of acknowledge that there is a need for English material.
Yes, there will be audio translations, synchronous translations, transcripts, presentations, and like everything what we have in Russian, schemes.
Does this mean that there are other groups who are English-speaking groups, or just?
No, not yet.
Okay, but they are doing this anyway because they feel that there is a need, or there will be a need. Okay, nice. Okay. So I'm not sure about my husband. I thought that he's coming. We discussed, like before I wrote to everybody that I am coming, we discussed that yes, we will be able to come. I don't know.
Who?
My party love,
Oh,
my husband.
so he will not come.
I don't know.
Oh,
I wrote to him. I mean, before I said that I'm coming, I checked with him whether he thinks we can make it. And he said yes. And then today I wrote to him and asked him whether you are joining, because we are not together. I am at my mom's place because I have a mission to speak to the Catholic priest here about the funeral and things like that.
yeah. Yeah. Она fajnie. Also, you join me? Oh,
He's just joining.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Anna Pine is also here, sort of.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Yeah, I'm here.
Swagatam, Swagatam.
Haribol. Swagatam, Swagatam. Yes. So Nikunja Biharni, what do we do? You are the boss.
oh, okay, maybe we can either contact Madhavananda Prabhu or start with Mangalacharan. I will sit now on the table.
Okay, I'll call him and you do what you're doing.
Oh, Prabhu's coming.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
That was quick.
Hare Krishna, please accept my obeisances. Okay, that's
Mauna Vrata. I didn't think that was part of the last two sessions. Maybe.
okay. Okay, could we start? Could we, I don't know, share something or about each other, everything?
I guess that's my job, right? Narayanam namaskrityam naram shtraiva narottamam Devim saraswatyam vyasam tato jayam mudurayat Vedi ramayanesh chaiva purane bhadate tatan Adavante chamadye chahari sarvatra giyate Mukam karoti vachalam bhangam langayate girim Yat kripa tamaham vande shigurum dinataranam Paramananda madhavam Paramananda he madhavam Padunga luchi makaranda Se makaranda panakori Anande bolo hari hari Harinka name vandavelam Parikori be chakadolam Se chakadolanka padaye Manamo Rahu Nirantare, Manamo Nirantare Rahu, Ha Krishna Boli Jiva Jao, Ha Krishna Boli Jao Jiva, Moteu Dada Radha Dava, Moteu Dada Radha Dava, Moteu Dada Radha Dava. I can't share the screen. I would show everybody the verses. Dharma projita kaitavo chaparamo nirmachanam satam. Vedyam vastavamatra vastu shivadam tapatrayon mulanam. Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vaparayishvara Sadhya Hridyavarudhyate Tukatibishu Shubhistakshanat Nigamakolpataro Garitam Phalam Shukamukadam Mitra Dravasamyutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Balukaha Anartopasamam Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Nadhoksuje Lokasya Janato Vidvams Chakre Satvata Samhitam Yasham Vaishuyamanayam Krishne Padamapurushe Bhaktirupadyate Pumsa Shokamoha Bhayapaha Srimad Bhagavatam Puranamamalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Paramahamsamekamalam Gyanam Padam Giyate Tatra Gyanavaragya Bhakti Sahitam Naiskarmyam Aviskritam Touch Chandlan Supatam Vicharna Pado Bhaktyavamuchen Naraham Artoyam Brahma Sutranam Bharatartha Vinirnayaha Gayatri Basharupo So Vedartha Paribrimitaha Sarva Vedeti Hasanam Saram Saram Samudritam Sarva Vedanta Saram Hi Srimad Bhagavatam Ishyate Tadrasam Rita Tripta Shanam Yatra Swadvachi Kvachit Krishna Bhakti Rasa Swarup Shri Bhagavatam Tate Veda Shastra Hoite Parama Mahatvam Chari Veda Upanishade Jata Kichu Hoya Tara Arta Lanavesam Korila Sanchayam Jai Sutre Jai Rug Vishaya Vachana Bhagavate Seiruk Sloke Nibandana Jivedanestara Lagi Sutra Koilo Vyasam Mayavadi Vashishunile Oya Sarvanasam Jaho Bhagavata Padam Vaishnaverastane Ekanta Ashraya Koro Chaitanya Charane Bhagavata Jainamane Sejavana Sama Tarasasta Ache Janme Janme Prabhu Jama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay. Maybe we could share who is prepared and how for today, what we expect. Лила Порошоттама пропала. Could you please start?
I've listened the lecture 15 few times actually, in expecting for a few weeks to have a kata and or kata to have the discussion. Today I heard it again, and I started listen to the next lecture, the first one on the 10th canto. I'm somewhere in a half, and yeah, I'm quite sure that if Madhavananda Prabhu will look into that lecture, he will be in complete ecstasy. Yeah, so that's it's nine lecture. This 9 canto actually was yeah, it was maybe for the first time that I could take some how to say, like specific understandings of the stories, or actually as the canto as the whole, because 9 canto for me was, if someone would ask me before, like what's the 9 canto, probably I would tell him something like, oh, this is a description of dynasties. Maybe I could pick up like few stories, because there's so many small little stories, but Maharaj, as usually, as always, gave it a wonderful order and sense and direction. That was nice. The end of the lecture was really nice. How Maharaj showed us how is it directed to the essential topic of 10th canto, to understand Krishna as the truly the supreme personality of Godhead. So that was one of my highlights. Definitely was this final part, how Maharaj connected. It's always so fascinating for me, actually, through those classes, to see that connection in between the cantos. And this is really wonderful. It intellectually satisfies me. That's how far I can get. Unfortunately.
Thank you. Okay, Madhavananda Prabhu. Microphone.
You
I can tell you about my class I gave this morning about Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. I can tell you about my class I gave yesterday about my Guru Maharaj. I can tell you about the things I've been doing with the Bindu. I can tell you about some things we were doing with the Tirobha festival for my Guru Maharaj. And that's about all the things I could tell you right now. I haven't looked at anything else. I haven't even thought of anything else. I just thought I'd just kind of tag along and just be here for association with the devotees.
in that connection, we would love to have the link for today's class. Actually, it didn't have.
I asked. I actually it felt really good this morning. This class. We spoke about the inner life of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta,
Ooh.
and we didn't get much past sannyas actually, and why he did the sannyas thing and what it means, and that was most of the class. But anyway, that has nothing to do with the Bhagavatam.
But is it recorded? Is it available somewhere?
Yeah, they're supposed to send it to me. I'll write to the devotee again right now and ask him.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Krishna Kun.
Oh, Govinda. I listened to the ninth, like the lecture 15 about the ninth canto, maybe a couple of times even, but it was a long time ago. And I started to, and I listened to about half of the next lecture, from which, yeah, I agree that if my husband listens to anything from that, he will be very happy with going beyond the lexicographical understanding.
Yeah.
If you wanted to,
Almost
to summarize what I got from that one first so far. Yeah, I read the transcript. I have to say that my heart is kind of not with it right now. I am more trying to do it as part of my sadhana. Okay.
Thank you. Anapaini.
Hare Krishna. I was listening to that lecture several times 2 weeks ago, I guess, and also I listened to it yesterday evening, most of it, just to recall what Gumarsh was speaking about, and I really, not just for the information's sake, of course, I just really wanted to come back to ninth canto, and because it was really, really powerful to hear it from Guru Maharaj, because ninth canto, as Lil Purushottam was saying, that it was something about dynasties, and the first time, and I never read it afterwards. First time I read it, it was like I was in the devotees movement for 2 years. And I read 2.5, I guess. I finished to read the whole Bhagavatam. And for me, it was the most mysterious and strange canto ever. It was like the strange stories, it's supposed to be spiritual scriptures describing weird stories. And it's just a bunch of names. Like, wow, that's intense. And the song was for me, and it still kind of stayed, of course, a little change. So it's, with the time I understood, oh, that's actually Moon and Sun dynasty, and the culmination of those dynasties, Krishna and Rama. So, well, something, but still, it was very mysterious. But then Guru Maharaj also, he explained his journey in this class, how he was not satisfied for years with even devotees answer, who is a teacher of Bhakti Vaibhava. He was asking him, so what's the meaning of the whole ninth canto? Like, there is no meaning, and he was not satisfied with that. And the whole lecture is his journey trying to dig into that. So what's the meaning? And my personal takeaway from that one is that so the path of devotion, it's the struggles and sometimes ugly difficulties are unavoidable, and even if you're a pure devotee, anything can happen. And so it's just a part of that sometimes of the journey. And I was thinking about that, why it's ninth canto, so why exactly there? And then actually that answer was before. In the previous cantos, I also this specific point was like repeated again and again, that and it's just a part of spiritual life, that we cannot really judge by externals what the soul is going through. And we have no idea who the person is, who the soul is, and those specific stories in ninth canto, they also kind of illustrated again. So the all in Sun and Moon dynasties, they predecessors Rama and Krishna, and they're going through really bad stuff. And this is a part. So sometimes in our journey, it can be really, ups and downs, serious things. But if we, stick to that Sharanagati, to that surrender no matter what to Guru and Krishna, so Krishna will lead us through those times anyways. And I mean, I guess this is the main thing I'm taking through from ninth canto, the most applicable, I feel, to my life, to just to be prepared for that journey. With anything can happen, but in anything whatever happens, just stick to that shelter. That was my main thing. I guess if we go through discussion, I may think about other details through the class, but this is what so far I seriously taking to my heart.
Thank you very much. I have never read ninth canto. When I came to when I connected with devotees, we read in temple 10th canto, and yeah, for me everything was new totally. And yes, so I just took all this findings and analysis and as instruction that yes, it is that material senses will be always attracted to something, but and the only way is to hear Krishna Katha, to associate with devotees, to serve devotees. And there will always be these tests and yes, that's just like this. So would you like to take up some questions, topics yourself, or I don't know, I could share a screen of the summary and discuss one by one topics.
Well, I have a question. Everybody's been teasing with so many things, how the ninth canto has so many, it's so amazing, it's so this and that, but then nobody's saying what the ninth canto is actually about. Just, it was really amazing. I got that much that Maharaj said, and it's not about dynasties. I understand that also. So what's the answer then?
Yeah, I guess if we go through what Natalia said, not Natalia, Nikunja Bihari, I'm so sorry. So not Natalia. If we go through the summary, so I think it can help us to reveal what exactly was Guru Maharaj was speaking from. So if we just, if Natasha can show the summary, you also could see that, and yeah, I think we can make comments further.
I will try. I'm with my phone.
Maybe I can just add one point here, which for me was the most amazing point of the class. I thought so much about this Yayati Maharaj story. I really, for years, I kept going back to it and I could not figure out why, like what's going on there.
Mhm.
Like why this story is there. What is it trying to tell us? Because it seemed clear that the goal is not to encourage everyone to indulge in sense gratification. That kind of, I got that. But then what it is, I didn't get. And what Maharaj explained, was it from Vishwa Chakravarti or Jiva Goswami? You can help me?
Vishwanath Chakravarti.
Vishwanath, yeah. He was explaining that Vishwa Chakravarti comments that Yayati Maharaj became like fed up with sense gratification because of the influence of Ambarish Maharaj, who was fully absorbed. We know how he was fully absorbed in all 9 limbs of devotional service, and who was the emperor at the time when he was just a smaller emperor or a king of Bharatvarsha. And he was, so I was just marking this point for myself, that my only hope is the devotees. So for me, this was kind of the probably the most important point from the whole class.
Yeah.
I have connected with it also that part with Yadu refusing to exchange his youth.
Mhm.
Really, the reasoning behind it was
Yeah.
so down,
Yeah. Yeah.
so logical, you know, like like it for me the message was like you can't really pretend, and I could see in it the pattern that so many devotees go into, that okay, the devotees are telling us that the vairagya and this and that, and we shouldn't be attached, and they just jump into something where which doesn't correlate with their adhikar, with their ability, and they are actually doing harm to themselves. And for me it was so nice to see it expressed on the story that he was even ready to refuse his father with same reasoning, you know, like saying like, I can't give it to you because I myself am the victim of the material desires, and if I exchange it with you, then like where's the point? I will not be able to deal with it properly. And then I could see in it that that's the situation that devotees so often end up, or maybe not end up like finally, but they live through a period of life where they have to struggle with this misunderstanding and with the wrong steps, actually, which they may be even encouraged for, unmature, like
Yes.
with the immature guidance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at least in 90s, definitely they were not just encouraged, but heavily pushed. I actually had a little discussion about this at the time with Nikunja Bihari, and I don't know if you remember Nikunja, but I was telling you how, because the main point that Yadu Maharaj is making is that I won't be able to absorb in devotional service.
Yeah.
That is the reason I want to refuse changing like that's why I don't want to give up my youth, because I won't be able to be absorbed in devotional service. And yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten I haven't really got, I mean, I got an answer, some kind of answer to my own situation, but I tried to understand this many times, really. Why is it that someone who is trying to be honest about where they are at, but is still pushed through into a particular situation, and then what is the hope?
But what's the question? Like, why does it happen? Or
How can it happen
Mhm.
when you are trying to be honest about where you are at,
Mhm.
and you are not given an honest answer back? You are given abuse instead. And obviously, I mean, we understand that Krishna is controller, and he allowed that, and he somehow sanctioned such a development and such a life.
I was
But then how?
Mhm.
Hare Krishna, Radhe Shyam.
I was once really struck with Prabhu's narrating his history, and and how was it for him? I mean, Madhavananda Prabhu's. Like what he had to go through when the first guru went away, and at one point it was so really I was really struck, because that's the thing that the first immediate answer is like we are getting these things according to our sincerity and an honest you know attitude. and and then Madhavananda Prabhu made a comment to it, that at one point I had to accept for myself that there had to be some duplicity in my heart, which was the part of, like, my part of the responsibility, that I ended up in such a situation. And for me, it was like, whoa, what? So connecting it with your thought, Krishna Kund Mataji, it's coming to the only way I could think about it is, it's just a farther and deeper uh, test of our sincerity, and you know, like going beyond the external uh, appearance of our sincerity, you know, like, we accepting like full scale sadhana bhakti and this that, but really what's the level of our sincerity in our heart, and meaning in the sense that uh, we are honest about our situation, and yet still we are exposed to the immature, improper guidance. And then what? And then if your sincerity goes even deeper on that level, then you get the inner response. Then you recognize in your heart, no, that's not right, that's not proper. What this temple president, for example, is telling me, instructing me, is not for my good. It's not for my well-being. Any comments, please?
I mean, I obviously for years I went through serious heart searching about this, and the only answer that I've gotten so far is that I understood after about 20 years in ISKCON that duplicity in terms of Vaishnavism means that you have any desire other than just pleasing Guru and Krishna, because that's duplicity. So that's an answer. And obviously there are levels of sincerity. Anyway, I think that it's an individual issue, and it doesn't need to be discussed further here.
Okay.
But thank you for your thoughts on it.
It reminds me of a topic that Guru Maharaj would speak about quite often, which when we first heard it was completely shocking. And that
What
is
do you see? Okay.
and that is how Guru has both kripa, mercy, and vanchana, cheating. And we really had a hard time getting our head around that Guru can cheat you. And over the years with Guru Maharaj, watching different devotees freaking out about that subject matter and trying to understand it, and asking questions of Guru Maharaj and observing things, I came to understand that Guru doesn't cheat us. Ultimately, it's that we cheat ourselves, and we get whatever we deserve. But even that cheating is also mercy, because Sadhu Guru is so wonderful, and the process of bhakti is so wonderful, that even if we get cheated in the form of getting some dharma, artha, kama, or maybe moksha, some secondary thing, still, because it's in connection with bhakti, just like Nalakuvera and Mani Griva, they met a sadhu, Narad Muni, but they didn't move into the ashram and start chanting japa and whatever. They just became trees because they didn't get his real mercy, but they did get mercy. It just took longer. And so Guru Maharaj once commented also about that. He said, somebody said, well, how can sadhu guru cheat someone? And Guru Maharaj commented, he said that he's not conscious of it, but Krishna just does it through him. Because such a personality is such a pure via medium, it's just Krishna's coming through them.
Yeah, I would think of making something like example, like you can approach someone, a wealthy man, you can approach, and he will just give you the question. So what do you want from me? And then if you ask for $1 bill instead of all his wealth, then what's the reality of it? Like who's cheating who? Like you cheated yourself actually, because you were not smart enough to ask for the real thing. So in that sense, the guru, he will give you these temporary results, and we can call it like he's cheating, but actually it's you who are asking for it by your duplicity, your improper attitude.
Yeah, and as you were saying earlier, you can't help it. It's just, that's who we are. We can try to trick and this and that. I really love Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj's comment, sincerity is invincible. You know, if we're just really sincere, then everything will be okay. It's invincible. We may have, as Krishna Kuma was speaking about, we may have problems with Guru, we may have problems with the society, we may have problems with this or that, but sincerity is invincible. And I found that sometimes having discussions with people who are really angry toward ISKCON, and sometimes commenting something to them, you know, trying to pacify them a bit, that sincerity is invincible. When you just point it out to them that really ISKCON means sincerity. And it's the sincerity of the devotees who are chanting. And maybe there's some bad leaders, there's some this or that, but that's not really ISKCON. ISKCON is the sincerity. And if you just stick to that sincere line, speaking about sincerity, it's invincible. And people can't say anything. And so important for us. One thing that really struck me, just a little personal note right now, I've been thinking a lot about my Guru Maharaj yesterday and today, and one thing that really struck me so much about him was the depth of his confidence, the depth of his peace. And that confidence, I would hazard to say, without being able to understand his heart, but I think it comes from deep immersion in Krishna and adherence to the truth. Because when we're just simple and we just speak the truth, we can be so confident and everything becomes very, very simple. But when we're trying to live a lie, we're trying to impress people, we're trying to be something that we aren't, then everything becomes really complicated. Anapaini.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. So coming back to this, I mean, to what you said, and also this example, the story of Yayati. So he was sincere, right? So he was saying, I can't, for the sake of my spiritual life, I can't give you my youth. So, because I want to be observed in spiritual life. So, and admit, you know, where I am and who I am. So I have a material desire. So, and if I do that, you know, I won't be insincere, and I will end up not being observed in spiritual life later on, basically. And I'm just trying to connect those, you know, two parts which Lil Purushottam were speaking before, and about sincerity and this part. So and Krishna Kun said from one, like basically sincerity is you know, it's only, you know, desire to serve Guru and Krishna, and everything else is not. So, and I'm just trying to kind of put together those two things, and they're not really coming. So it's basically, yeah, I think he was actually saying it because of sake of his spiritual life, and he took the decision because of his sake of his spiritual life. But on the other hand, some people could say, oh, but he was doing it actually. He could say that. Oh, sorry, Yadu. Yeah, sorry, Yadu. Sorry. And but then other people can say that he was saying that, you know, just to you know, protect his sense gratification. So and it's kind of, yeah, hard for me to balance those two things right now. So can maybe some of you just put them together?
There's a subject which we did some research on, and we printed some things in the Bindu, which really freaked out some devotees. I have to say, about the only one who really caught it at first was Mother Irmela. And she wrote to us and she said, wait a minute. Because we were quoting Jiva Goswami and this and that, and she's saying, you're saying that someone can offer their sense gratification to Krishna? Oh my God, how what is that? That's complete nonsense. Well, she wasn't saying it was nonsense, but she was really trying to understand it. And the answer is yes, but it's not something that we speak about very much. It's not something Prabhupada spoke about for obvious reasons. But yeah, there's statements like that in the 11th canto, the Bhagavatam and Jiva Goswami Sundarbhas and different places, that whatever we do, again, again, shubham yamayati, again, again, whether it's done by knowledge, within knowledge or without knowledge, shubham, ashubham, whatever is auspicious or inauspicious, please accept that. And this is part of our deity worship prayers. Leela Purushottam shaking his head. You know those verses, I think. Beautiful prayer.
Yeah.
But if you, and the translation that we've been given in ISKCON is really not so accurate. Agyanad atava gyanad, without knowing or with knowing, that's the literal translation. Ashubham, shubham, ashubham, whether it's, you know, auspicious or inauspicious, please accept that. And this also has to do with Jiva Goswami's comments in Bhakti Sundarbha, where he speaks about sakaitava bhakti and akaitava bhakti, or cheating bhakti and honest bhakti. And honest bhakti means just to be where we're at. And Krishna speaks about that in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, karmendriyanam samyam ya asti manasasma. He speaks about mityachara sa uchate, that someone, they're trying to control their senses, but their mind's always going there. Mityachara sa uchate, literally, they're just living a lie. It's not a really true thing. And so in that regard, then someone may say, well, then what's the benefit? Once we were doing a program in Kiev, and an older Mataji, one of the senior devotees in the yatra, somehow she started speaking with us, and she was complaining how, she spoke very frankly, how Prabhupada was always pushing the four regulated principles. But she said, how do we understand? Practically nobody follows all that. And my comments, first of all, I said, well, it's true. I've spoke with Hari Sari and Shrutakirti, but even many sannyasis were not following. And they were coming to Prabhupada. I'm not. And so then she said, so then what's the point? It's nonsense. We should just, you know, why make everybody feel terrible? And I told her, I said, well, in the West, if you would just take that attitude, there'd be no more regulated principles at all. There'd be no principles. People would just go crazy. And there are some Vaishnava groups who are like that. But what Prabhupada did, in effect, was it made people feel bad. It made them feel guilty. It's just like Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj quotes that verse from the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. What is it? Well, Krishna speaks about jata. He speaks about when someone say it slowly.
Jata Shraddha Mat
Jata Shraddha Makatashu. Someone develops faith in Krishna Katha, but they can't control their senses. Then the verse literally says that they should just go on doing what they're doing and pray to Krishna, and they should feel terrible. They should burn in remorse. And Prabhupada did that for us. So Prabhupada made everybody feel really guilty. Now, by a New Age standard, that sounds terrible. You shouldn't make everybody feel guilty. We should just make everybody feel good. And let's just be honest, Prabhu. And but Prabhupada made devotees feel bad. And then that makes them cry and cry for Krishna. Leela.
It's just coming to my mind that the translation goes that the first part of it says that you should joyfully continue with your devotional practice, joyfully, but you should regret the final part says that you should regret your unfortunate state of condition.
Where is it from?
It's 11, 20, 27, 28. It's like a couple verse.
Mm.
My favorite part I can identify so strongly with.
Can you send it after the class, please, in the chat?
I can put it there right now.
Okay, thank
But
you, Krishna.
I was really contemplating deeply in this connection that both things are mentioned there. You should joyfully continue with your practice, meaning like that you shouldn't feel discouraged from continuing with the devotional service. It shouldn't be like, oh, it's hopeless. I don't even try and like that. So that's like a joyful part. And simultaneously with that, like what it is to really, really be realistically with yourself, meaning like to understand, oh, I'm so unfortunate and that I'm pushed to behave like this and actually I have to say I really like the commentary, our BBT commentary to it also. It's quite long and
I'm
covers.
not super thrilled with the translation from the BBT, although it's okay. But it just, I would strongly suggest that this verse, it's a very important verse. I would strongly suggest these two verses that look at the word for word. And what Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj comments, Dukho Dar comes to Garayan. The word Garayan, they translate as repenting. But Garayan comes from the same bij dhatu as what's the word? As heat or fire. It literally means that you're burning up in the fire of lamentation.
Yeah.
And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his Bhajan Rahasya, he quotes these two verses, and he says they're very important, and they indicate something important. What do they indicate? He says this is adhikar for bhajan.
Yeah.
These two verses. In other words, and let's look at the translation, which is pretty accurate. But having faith, waken faith in the innate narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotees should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. It's a good translation, actually. Even though he's sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result and sincerely repents such activities. So this is adhikar for non-bhajan. How is that adhikar that someone can't follow strictly? Well, Bhaktivinoda doesn't explain, so I can't really comment with great certainty. But one thing I can say, looking at it and comparing it to Bhakti Sundarbha, is that this verse indicates the quality of honesty.
Yeah.
It's just exactly what you're speaking about, the Yati Maharaj, etc. That honesty is so important. And the ironic thing is that it's not just social honesty. Who gives a damn about the social honesty and what people care and think about us and whatever, but it's the honesty with ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we so often we trick ourselves and we think I'm so advanced, I am so this, I'm so that, and I'm not. So.
Yeah, I can perfectly relate to that statement that's the guidelines for bhajan because for me it's so instructive on the attitude of the sadhaka, because unavoidably we are facing it as a conditioned living beings. We are meeting our conditioning, and we can perceive it as the obstacles on our path to the pure devotional service. So it actually describes the survive the how you could call, like mentality and attitude with which you can get through it. You can survive, not ending up depressed and discouraged, and so in that sense it's really like the essence of Nambajan. Just continue, like with the same logic what Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani he repeats over and over, with every offense that he describes. He says the only real remedy is to continue chanting, because that would create the how, like it would create the pattern that couldn't work actually. If you would think, I will be able to chant the holy name or do the bhajan only after I am that pure, that much purified, because you wouldn't have the means to purify yourself.
So it is a kind of ironic twist in our Krishna consciousness movement. I feel, on one hand, the society is everything for us. Prabhupada's mission has saved us. It's reached out to us. It's given us some spiritual, social life and things. But on the other hand, that same social, devotional social life, it also is a great hindrance. Because to give you an example, there's a devotee. He's a hidden devotee. His name's Burke Rutchford. He's a PhD from like the University of Vermont or something. He's one of the world's foremost authorities on the Hare Krishna movement. And I call him a devotee because secretly he chants japa and offers his food and things. But everybody thinks he's just an academic. And he did surveys for many years in ISKCON, and the GBC just loved him, and they used him. How do the women feel? How do the Guru Kulis feel about this and that? And then at a certain point, the GBC just stopped, and they didn't have anything more to do with him. I'm not sure why that is. I met him one time. I never asked him that question, but ironically, perhaps, or anyway, he did a survey where he sent out to all the different sannyasis and asked them some questions, including which, are you following all four regulated principles? And something like over 70% of the sannyasis wrote back and saying no. In our society, they weren't following all four regulated principles. Now, I don't know if that's why the GBC dropped him, but in any case, it was not a very palatable thing to talk about. And I feel sad for that. I have friends like Vipramukhya Swami. He used to be a resident sannyasi when I was a president in Seattle, Washington. And now he's just, last I heard, he has an airplane and he's a prison guard and he's married. He's a vegetarian still and stuff, and he gave up his disciples and gave up his sannyas and everything. But he could never be honest. There was no way he could speak about it. And even, we can be honest. We can say, gosh, Prabhu, I'm really fallen. Really, I'm really fallen. But people say, oh, he's so humble. But you can't speak. If you come right out and say, well, I did this thing, I did that thing, then the problem with that is, just like there's an older Prabhupada disciple that I'm friends with on Facebook. He's really a cool guy. And he is so much into art and things. I won't say his name, but he's really, really into marijuana. And just a few minutes ago, I saw what he posted. He posted a photograph of somebody with a giant marijuana bud, and he's talking about these things. So in one sense, I can tell you, I really don't care. What I care is that this person, I see his love for Prabhupada, I see his appreciation for Krishna Bhakti and his appreciation for culture. And okay, he's being honest that he likes marijuana and he likes this thing and that thing. Personally, I kind of wish he'd just be quiet about that stuff because it doesn't help anything. Socially, in the society, when you go and speak about something like that, then so many people will say, well, gosh, yeah, he's doing it. It's okay. I can also be like that. So this is a great problem that we have within this institution. We spoke a little bit about the Ramakrishna mission this morning and how Srila Bhaktisiddhanta created the Gaudiya Mutt. And it's an extraordinary new kind of concept to have an institution and an ashram where people, so many people live that you're preaching to and bringing in. There was ashrams before, but those ashrams were people who came to study under their guru and a particular person, not coming to an institution to learn some basic things. So this is a very, very new kind of thing for us. And as I mentioned a minute ago, it works and it's great and we all owe so much to it. But there's also some inherent problems with it. And one of those inherent problems is you can't really be honest. I tell the story a lot of times. I was staying in one temple in North America, I won't say the name, and one friend of mine gave a Bhagavatam class, and it was a real, as we would say in America about the Christians, a real hellfire, brimstone. He was speaking about, I think you probably all heard me tell the story, I'm sorry, about how grihastas shouldn't watch television. And everybody, like their faces were white and they're all nervous. And he finished the class, asked for questions. And his little boy, who's like 5 years old, stood up and he said, Pita, why do you watch television? And then he turned bright red and it was a whole, and everybody was laughing and laughing hysterically. And he couldn't say anything. But that's our situation. Now, if he would have come out in the class and said, yeah, I watch television, then everybody would think, well, it's not so bad. He's doing it. I can also do it. So that's a problem in our society, in this institution, the way our social structure is there, that we have maybe 70, maybe more, Hare Krishna, of sannyasis who are not following all the principles, but they can't honestly speak about it. And then you have problems like my friend Virpamukhi Swami, former Swami, who just leave Krishna consciousness because they can't just be honest. It's a very, very hard thing. And I really, after so many years, I don't really know a solution for that other than to reveal our heart to maybe one person. Gurmar spoke about that. He said, you speak your heart to your guru, to someone that you have absolute trust in, because Guyamakyati Prichiti, that principle of speaking is there, but when you say Guyam, that it should be confidential, that implies that it should be someone that you trust. And it should be someone who's more advanced than you. Because otherwise people, they'll start talking or this or that, and it doesn't help anything. It just makes things worse. Anyway, I don't want to make a long speech. It's just, I'm just trying to, I'm listening here today, but I'm just filling in when you guys are quiet.
Like exactly this point for me, the greatest dilemma is, and probably that's the same point that you're discussing on it, like how is it not supporting duplicity in us? Like creating the environment when you don't feel safe to be honest about yourself. Then how does it help us to not being duplicit?
Yeah, well, look around you. I mean, I'm not very happy with hearing critics of ISKCON or hearing critics of our society, but let's look at it for a moment. What almost all of them complain about, they complain about exactly this, that devotees are duplicitous. I saw some little meme, the picture of someone preaching real heavy, you got to follow that, you got to do this and that, and there was like a guru kuli on the side and said, well, yeah, and can you tell me why you're getting married for the 4th time now? So we're sick. On one hand, we have devotees who are big preachers and they're coming out and preaching all these heavy kind of things, but then in their life there's so much duplicity, and this is what breaks the heart of devotees. This is what makes so many people leave the society. They're just all bogus. Another story I tell quite often, I won't tell the whole story, but I met some person, very senior devotee, told me none of the sannyasis chant 16 rounds. I know. I used to be a sannyasi. I wasn't chanting 16 rounds. And he's joined in 22nd Avenue. He's one of the very first devotees. And he's discouraged like that. So this duplicity is a very, very unfortunate thing. Ultimately, my resolution about it personally is that the social aspect for me, the relevance of it is to serve my Guru Maharaj, to serve Srila Prabhupada by trying to preach and help other devotees. But I don't really take it very seriously. For many different ways, to be really brutally honest, one big thing about the social thing is I have friends and they love me and this and that, but those so-called friends, most of the time they're very shallow and it's just mutual being nice to each other kind of thing. It's not deep friendship. It's not deeply based on Krishna bhakti. So for me, the social aspect is there for those reasons that I want to preach, I want to serve my Guru Maharaj, and I have some need for social, but to the extent really that I'm Krishna conscious, I don't need that social thing. I'll want association. My Guru Maharaj was surrounded by hundreds of disciples and thousands of devotees, and the last diary entry he made the day he left was, "Dear Gopal, please send me like-minded association." And from that, I can understand that there's a difference between all the smiles and hugs and Prabhu, you're so nice, and loving dealings, but they may be shallow. And we really need to have some intimate sangha. So for me, that's the resolution about this duplicity matter. I want to work on it myself with maybe my Guru Maharaj or some one or two like-minded devotees. I just don't have faith in the institution solution of it in a broad way. I mean, there's so many things you could say about that, but I just don't think it works. I mean, it also, you can say it's a bad example for people. It encourages them in this way and that way, whatever. But the bottom line is that this doesn't work. And when I go and reveal my heart like that with people who are not mature and are not really so elevated themselves, it just doesn't help. So that for me is the answer about duplicity. And that duplicity is something that all of our acharyas speak about so much. Guru Maharaj spoke about it so much. And some people didn't like his classes. I'm thinking Guru Maharaj today. There's one Mataji, I don't remember what it was. She'd come and she'd heard some classes, and there was something, we had to go and see her. I went with somebody else, and we went to this house to see her. She was seeing some people. And where is she at? She was hiding in her room because someone was playing a lecture of my Guru Maharaj. And the lecture was so heavy that it just completely freaked her out, and she just locked herself in her room. So that's what my Guru Maharaj would strike devotees sometimes, that you're going to spoil the whole party. We say that quite often. You're going to spoil the whole party. Guru Maharaj is coming to spoil the whole party. And it disturbs people. Well, look, I'm okay. Everything's okay. Everybody accepts me. I had 5 people tell me I should take sannyas, and 4 people told me I should be guru. I must be really advanced. And then Guru Maharaj comes and speaks, some very heavy things about material desires and duplicity. And you go, oh my God. And you think, how can he speak like that? Then nobody's going to want to join. But what's happening is we're watering things down to the lowest common denominator. And it doesn't become bhakti anymore. It just becomes some music that we do to make some popularity with people like the kirtan because it sounds cool. It's good music, Prabhu. The class is funny, this and that. Krishna Kun.
I have a question about what you said just a couple of minutes ago. You mentioned something about how, to the extent that to the extent we are Krishna conscious, we don't need the social scene, if I got it right. And I remember that quote I remember that purport of Srila Prabhupada from the Bhagavatam, where he says that being Krishna conscious outside of the association of the devotees is like phantasmagoria.
Yeah, it's a hallucination.
It's a hallucination.
Dhruva Maharaj, 4th canto.
Okay.
Bhaktim muhu pravahatam tvayime.
Oh, is that purport, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So then that's on a Painis verse.
Yeah.
So I have an experience though. I have an experience that when you are sort of banned from the social scene, but you are sticking to your service, it does actually kind of really help. At least to me, it was very helpful at one point. I was practically like in a Mauna Vrata, except for chanting, of course, and doing my service, Sankirtan, but it really helped. But at the same time, I don't actually see that as healthy Krishna consciousness. I saw it more as a, kind of still the best under the circumstances, but it's not, because healthy Krishna consciousness is joyfully performed in the association of devotees. That's my vision of that, and I could be wrong. So I'm just kind of really...
It sounds contradictory, perhaps, but it's really not. There's two different levels. Guru Maharaj, he wanted association, and he was praying for that. And with Ramachandra Sangha Magi Narottam Das Thakur was praying, let me have association with Ramachandra Sangha, with Ramachandra Kaviraj. And that Katha Sangha is the life of the devotees. Now, what goes on in the name of that is not always the same thing. And it's not a fault of the institution. It's not a fault of Prabhupada. It's us, that we're not applying it properly. We're just doing it in a sentimental way. These are all, these are all my god brothers. These are all devotees who also speak Czech or speak Russian or this or that. And so we're all buddies. And this way we all have the same social attitude where we like Varnashram or we hate Varnashram or whatever. We have some certain similarities in terms socially. And in one sense, that social scene is necessary, just like puppies. It's really helpful for puppies to have other puppies to play with. They grow. It's helpful for small children to have a kindergarten. They learn social skills and things. It's good for us. We need to have something, but it's not the same. It's not so deep. And therefore, a lot of devotees end up leaving. Therefore, we need to make deep sanghas. But it's not that there's anything wrong with the social scene. What's wrong with it is the way that we make it. Lila Purushottam.
What comes to my mind, the term that would express it like nicely, if I can catch your thought, is like a formal social structure. Like to the degree that our relationships within the society remain to be only formal, and we will never get closer on the personal level, then we won't get the proper benefit of what Vaishnava Sangha as a term and as a pillar of our practice of devotional service. Then we won't get it in a formal, official. We could add institutional, like social structure, social dealings. That's just the very shallow part of what is our real need in sangha, in the realm of social dealings. And if we make that mistake that we expect that our needs will be fulfilled only with those shallow relationships, formal relationships, then we come to the like hitting the wall. That's where it stops working for us.
Yeah, that's beautiful. My grandma spoke sometimes about Prabhupada's purpose of ISKCON. What is the necessity of it? Prabhupada himself, he told the devotees when they signed the legal documents for ISKCON, he said, actually, we don't need this. For ourselves, we can sit and retreat. But who will come? And so it is for that purpose of preaching that, and then people have some idea that I'm a member. And then you have this social structure. And just to be really brutally honest, and I'm sorry, it's brutal, but a lot of times that social thing, it's shallow. We don't really know devotees so well. But at the same time, we're trying to be loving and sweet to them and encouraging them. And that's good for our bhakti, and that's good for our society. This morning in our class about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, we read some from this statement that I just put on the board here. I'd like to share some of it with you because he speaks about some of this point. He says, if we remove the people in the mutt who are fond of eating and enjoying intimate association with women, the mutt's expenditures and problems will diminish. We have to send home those proud and independent people who do not follow the mutt's rules and regulations and who neither follow the spiritual master's orders nor display humility. If the result is that we have less manpower, we are content. We should not allow those who are not interested in worshiping Hari, but who aspire for profit, adoration, distinction, women, and wealth to live in the mutt. Such people are opposed to the mutt in their hearts. They think, I've been living in the mutt for a long time. I've worked hard for the mutt. Now I can eat nice foods, dress opulently, demand respect from others, and be given a share in the mutt administration. We should never encourage such ideas because they're opposed to devotional service. Such mentalities develop when living entities indulge in doubt, blasphemy, and idle talk. So to put it in another way, that one sentence, such mentalities develop when living entities indulge in doubt, blasphemy, and idle talk. To put it in another way, such mentalities develop when we have a shallow social scene. And the symptoms of a shallow social scene are doubt, blasphemy, and idle talk. And then these kind of mentalities develop that, oh, I'm a senior devotee, therefore I should be given a position in the administration. I should have nice food, this thing and that thing. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he says, we should not be proud and think I'm expert, intelligent, a good speaker, and a good singer. These thoughts are averse to devotional service. We tend to feel ourselves lower than the straw on the street. If anyone, we need to feel ourselves lower than the straw on the street. If anyone attacks or criticizes us, we should tolerate it and simply chant Hari's holy name. We should think that today the Lord has mercifully awarded us the opportunity to become humbler than a blade of grass. When someone blasphemes us, we should know that the Lord is awarding us a benediction through those from whom trouble is inevitable. It's quite a bit different than what we see. And for me, I'm not looking at this in terms of institutions, and we'll talk about ISKCON. I'm looking at this in terms of a social structure in the society. And what this comments say to me, you can call it Gaudiya Mutt, you can call it Gaudiya Mission, you can call it ISKCON, I don't care what you want to call it. But the symptoms are the bad thing is when we're lazy, we just want we don't have humility, we're not sincerely hearing and chanting. And then we start indulging in doubt, blasphemy, and idle talk. And we think, yes, this is a society. And Prabhu, what are you doing? You're not coming to the temple. You're not coming and indulging in doubt, blasphemy, and idle talk with us. But that's what goes on sometimes. And sometimes devotees are even criticized because they're not coming and taking part in the doubt, blasphemy, or idle talk. Well, we don't want that. But the solution is that we should create the kind of Sangha that we want. And we can do that in whatever temple in a very simple way. Just talk to people about Krishna. Just quote some verses, just chant Hare Krishna, invite people to come and do kirtan. It's a positive solution.
Yeah.
Nice. Can I go back to the nice canto a little bit?
Please. I've diverted everybody so much.
You're a little diverted us, but it's actually, I love this description about who should live in a mud. It's kind of really sets the bar. Oh, Krishna, I lost it. Wait. I had this here. Okay, yeah, there it is. This is from the summary of lecture 15, which I really marked in the class when I listened to it, and then I found it written like this. And I am bringing it up because of the duplicity topic that we've been discussing a little bit, quite a bit. Overcoming internal impediments. This ninth canto emphasizes that these difficulties often manifest as external obstacles, but they are meant to help individuals overcome their internal impediments, attachments, and material desires. So in other words, things manifest externally just to draw our attention to the fact that there is major problems inside. This is how I took it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, yeah, it just seems like such a good description, because when there is, sometimes we only pay attention to something once it's kind of physically manifested in front of us, kind of externally manifested in front of us. And I just, yeah, I just wanted to, I just like this point because I find that I am, I guess, superficial enough that it's important for me to sometimes see things externally so that I can really start working on it internally. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's for me, it's similar logic and pattern as the body gives us the physical troubles to show us that we don't treat it properly, and we are abusing it in a way somehow. And then if you're not sensitive enough to be conscious of these things, then the gross result will be the illness or injury or something.
Yeah, I had the same association actually.
Anapani disappeared and all we see is her thumb now.
I'm sorry, I had to move around the house because Prana was late at work. I was here listening. Prana also listening, but we had to pack his meal, like just this and that.
That's good. You're taking care of him, are you?
Trying.
Good. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he really liked the conversation, especially about the sincerity, Sangha. He really relates to that a lot. He's gonna listen to the recording, which Natalia is doing right now. That's
We so many times, because Bhaktivinoda says there's two types of persons, the Bahirmukh Janas and the Antarmukh Janas, or external and internal. And because we're coming from an external perspective, we see everything in terms of, the color of their dress. This is a sannyasi, this is a brahmachari, this is a grihastha, and you judge people by the color of their clothes. Or this lady's wearing a sari, she's serious. This lady's wearing a gopi skirt, she's a little serious. This lady's wearing, a dress, not very serious. This lady's wearing a mini skirt, she's in Maya.
Sorry.
And that's how we tend to judge things, but we really need to learn to look inside. I've been lately, I had a beautiful discussion with a senior disciple of Prabhupada, an old friend of mine. I don't want to say very much to give it away because it was very intimate what he told me, but about his name, I won't say his name, but he was just commenting how this particular person, he's like a genius. I mean, really, he's done some amazing, but he is the most difficult person to get along with in the world. He's just an obnoxious, nasty old man. He's just really terrible. But he's autistic. And he was mentioning to me that some of my heroes, like Kushakrata Prabhu, was totally like, he said Kushakrata was the #1 autistic poster child. You know, he can't get along with people in society, and they just don't know how to talk. And sometimes they hurt people's feelings. They're really rough, this and that. And we think they're bad. And maybe their behavior is bad, but it's maybe they're just autistic. And I see that with my Guru Maharaj, he could accept them, and Prabhupada could accept them. And if we learn to see things like that, instead of just being a Bahirmukh Jana and looking at the color of the cloth and the length of the dress the lady's wearing and whatever, if we try to see their sincerity, and even maybe then we can overlook the fact that they're grumpy or a little crazy, a little eccentric, or this or that, because they may just be autistic and they just cannot get along. Krishna Kuni, Jagannath Mishra is autistic, I'm telling you, completely. He just can't get along with people. But he's brilliant, and he actually means well. And Guru Maharaj could see through that. We can't always see through that, and it makes me just want to slow down. And it doesn't mean I have to hang out with this, with all the crazy people and whatever. I may keep a distance, but let's not criticize them. And let's understand, as you were saying, Krishna Krona, these internal obstacles that are there, we need to try to see things in an internal way instead of an external way. Okay. Anapayani, I'm a little almost envious of you. It's so, you know, because I know how much you love the outdoors, and Pranahari Prabhu also. And I lived in the cave in Mount Lemmon in Arizona for some time, and the Grand Canyon, and you haven't been there yet, but Yellowstone. And you went to Yellowstone?
Yeah. Not the Yellowstone, but the Grand Canyon.
Grand Canyon, yeah. But Yellowstone and Yosemite, oh my God, and the redwood forest in Northern California. There's really, it's mundane, but I got to tell you, it's completely awesome. Whenever Radhanath Maharaj goes to visit Vaisheshika, they go for walks in the redwood forest. And it's just like Krishna Kun, we went there with him. It's like being in a temple or something. And just the sanctity. These trees are 1,000 years old, and they're huge. And it's wonderful. So I'm a little feeling almost envious of you that you can be in some of those places, and I hope you're able to check them out some.
Oh yeah, we're planning to. I mean, lately, a couple of last 2 months, we were not able to, like, you know, drive where we want because Prana had a little injury with his knee, and we had to really slow down. Couldn't really walk much. So, but hopefully soon we will be able to do that.
Anyway, there's some really awesome places. And in Arizona, wow, it's very, very mystical place. The deserts, the high desert and things. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting experience here also, like speaking about, you know, internal and external, like externals are the symptoms of something internal, and just an experience. It seems like such a simple, basic things, but at the same time, in our days, it's like a privilege just to go into the space where you can hear your inner voice very strongly, like unbelievably, like, you know, nothing else, no other sounds except your inner voice. it's just like, wow, it just like seems like such an obvious thing just to be, like an environment which shows up a lot about what's going on inside when you usually in a, like very fast and, many things happening at the same time in life, just not able to really clearly see. It's just like a background noise. So it's really interesting. So it's important. Seems like it's an important thing for the human being to use those things sometimes, at least sometimes.
Our
Just
temples should be places where we can hear the voice of the soul.
Mhm.
But honestly speaking, a lot of times, just for myself, and I'm more of an introvert. I was living in a cave before I joined, and I like the forest and things. When there's like 50 or 100 people, I can give a lecture in front of 100,000. It's not a problem. But if you want to try to have a conversation with more than 4 or 5 people, it just freaks me out. It just does weird things to my body. I can't, I gotta check out. I gotta go somewhere else. It just really disturbs me. I don't like festivals. I don't like big programs. I can give a talk there and then I'll go to the corner somewhere with a friend or something and like that, but I can't do it. And I feel better with Bhakti Vigan Maharaj is exactly the same way. He hates festivals. He's told me sometimes.
Yeah, sorry. Any
That- that-
plans for to travel to America sometime?
No, but we just got an invitation from somebody who's close to you to go and do some program with him in Ukraine.
Oh, Niranjan Maharaj, Guru Maharaj.
Bhakti
Guru
Vigan Maharaj.
Maharaj.
He asked me, he said, are you going to this program? Are you part of it? Did they invite you? And I said, no, Maharaj, they didn't invite me, and that's fine. I'm happy. He said, no, I'm going to invite them. I'm going to talk to them, tell them they should invite. I said, no, Maharaj, please, I don't want to. He said, no. And then a few hours later, we get an invitation from some of the, and Maharaj told me, it was very sweet. He said, Madhav Nanda, we're a team. I need you. And it's going to be at a place, maybe you've heard of it before. It's called
Magdalena.
Magdalenovka. Have you ever heard
Mhm.
of that place?
Of course. Yeah, I know, a historical place for me.
That's where we first met on a pioneer.
Yeah. And that's when my life changed a lot. Wow. So it's going to be this summer. Hmm?
Yeah. And so I don't know. Otherwise, with different things, there's some. It's a little difficult for us. There's some mafia people in Czech Republic who are kind of like threatening us and harassing us that we have to go there. So we might have to do
the
that.
same date I will be ruined because it's just a few days that I've been in contact with Nam Sankirtan Prabhu, and he very bluntly informed me that Maharaj is not gonna visit Europe this year at all.
Yeah, he's not gonna.
So so that was one frustration. And if you now tell me that, oh, it's exactly your dates, Lila Purushottam, and we will be with Maharaj in Ukraine, and we won't be with you in Czech.
Then you will seldom have to come to Ukraine.
Well, that's that's hard to be the main organizer of the summer camp here and run away from the place. That wouldn't work probably. But do you know what's the date for the Megalinovka?
Let me look and see. It was in August, as I recall. Let
Yeah.
me look and see Marsh's message. Otherwise, it's on a pioneer. We may. I can't really say, but we may come to America. I've thought a lot about it. We've had a number of invitations and things, and we'd love to see the devotees there.
Uh-huh.
But I
Oh,
can't really promise it. America just makes me nervous, honestly, because it's just such a big place. It's like, if I go to Russia, it's not so hard because Russia is a very small place. It's just Moscow or St. Petersburg. There's only like 2 or 3 places I go. But America, I know people in Boston and San Francisco and Seattle and Los Angeles and in this and all over the place. And
A lot
it,
of traveling, yeah.
it scares me. The program in Megalinovka is August 3rd to the 10th. Are you
Yeah,
thinking about maybe going to Lila Purushottam?
I don't think I would think, but August 3 to 10 is impossible because 10
Oh,
is the start of our Bhakti Sangha camp.
acha.
10th
Okay.
is it's Saturday and it's when we start.
I tell you, Megalinovka, you would go nuts over Megalinovka just physically. It's just an amazing place. And then what to speak of the devotees who come, they're so sweet. And then what to speak of Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj. And then what to speak of when he speaks.
What to speak to have a festival on such a place with Bhaktivedanta Maharaj and Madhavananda Prabhu together.
yeah, true.
It sounds like Golok already.
Every king has a clown that he keeps just to make people laugh, and that's my job, you know. It's
So your team, Maharaj mentioned it right. You're the best team in the world.
By the way, if you're planning to go to Govardhan sometime starting from November, the guest house already gonna be open. So Guru Maharaj's English speaking group in November gonna the retreat's gonna be at Sri Rupa Savakunja already in November.
well, I can tell you, I'm really hoping to be in Govardhan in November. We just, I'll tell you something secret. We you know Braja Sevika
Yeah.
in Vrindavan. I just sent her on a mission, and she went to a secret place in Vrindavan, and she got a new book. It's a translation of Srila Bhakti, commentaries from Bhakti Vinod, Bhakti Siddhanta, Vaman Maharaj, I think Narayan Maharaj, on Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Mhm.
And I'm really, so I want to get that book.
Can imagine.
Okay. Well, Nikunja Biharani, do we have permission maybe to finish? I should go and chant a little bit. And Leela Purushottam Prabhu, I have to apologize this morning. I was really concentrating on my kata this morning. I was a little bit in samadhi for that, Bhakti Siddhanta. And I forgot all about my mission to talk to them about Gaur Purnima. Yeah, even though I saw the temple president for a couple of minutes, I didn't think to talk to him. But I'll write to the co-president just as soon as we finish and shake him up, see what they have something to say.
I'm looking forward for kata actually.
Yeah, it was fun. Nikunja Biharani, you're on the bus, it looks like.
It's a train.
It's on the train. Okay, good. All right.
Yes.
It's so nice to have Sangha with everybody here. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
thank you.
you know, my strategy when I come to the programs, this meeting like this, when I haven't, I'm just an offender. I'm not part of things because I haven't listened to the lecture or studied any part of it. Is my attitude is just to be quiet and listen. And the only reason I spoke so much is because when everybody else gets quiet and they don't have anything to say, then I got a big mouth. I'm Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj's clown, so I can make some jokes and do whatever.
I think it was super relative what you were saying. It's really helped me to understand that's the point about being sincere. I think it was a really, really wonderful part of the discussion, which was the main.
One thing about the social structure thing, which occurs to me too, is, you know, I'm speaking a lot about how we should kind of transcend that. And we're speaking about shallow social structures of neophytes and things. But honestly, that's us. It's not them, it's us. And to a large extent, we still need it, just like Maharaj Yati is speaking with Puru, his son and things. And he, no, father, I can't give you my youth because I still need this. A lot of us still have need for that social thing, which may even be shallow and whatever, but we still have some need for that. We need friends. We need to be able to hang out with somebody and be accepted and whatever. We should strive, though, for a deeper Sangha. I think you guys have a pretty good Sangha there in Arizona where you're at, huh? In Phoenix?
I mean, these are good devotees, nothing wrong. It's just that we are specific people, and it's nice, but still, it's not like deep Sangha, not like like I guess our relationship kind of already established. We have our friends, but they're not here, and still kind of, I guess.
Maybe you and Prana were both spoiled by having such sweet Sangha with Vaisheshika Prabhu and intimate disciples and your Guru Maharaj and Govardhan, and just really diving into the Bhagavatam and such an intimate Sangha. And then you go to Phoenix or something, there's a bunch, don't mind me saying, don't tell us anybody, but there's a bunch of Hindus and stuff, and it's a little people come on Sunday.
Yeah, that's kind of how we feel. Even though there are really nice devotees, like the devotees we're doing Harinam with, real nice family. We invite them for kirtan programs at our house. So we're gonna start on Monday. We're gonna sing bhajans together and discuss bhajans. And that's, we're finding, like some devotees we can relate to more than to others. But still, I guess for Prana especially, it's a huge longing for that friendship, like he had in Michigan, like his friends from ashram, which are mostly in Michigan right now. He's like really, really, struggling, of lacking of that kind of association.
Well, when you were telling me about, I wasn't there, but you were telling me before about Prana sitting and reading with his Guru Maharaj, just the two of them, and discussing things. What a special kind of Sangha that is. I've had a little bit of that in my life, and everything else becomes just tinsel. You know the word tinsel?
It's like insignificant, like very small.
Tinsel, you just had Christmas, and you must have experienced Christmas in America. The shiny little silver colored things they hang from the trees, which are shiny, but they're so cheap they don't mean anything. So that's tinsel. Tinsel is something that looks shiny and bright, but it has no value.
Right. I guess so. That's what he feels. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to Michigan, Gara Purnima. So we just got. That's a Prana became alive, like looking for.
Well, Krishna Kun, maybe we should just go to Michigan for Gaur Purnima.
That would be cool.
I wondered if you were going to stick your head up when I said that.
You're going through a check for Gara Purnima? Maybe
we'll see. They're feeding us here and giving us a place to stay and really being so kind to us. And so we want to give priority to them, but they kind of also, honestly, I don't think they know what to do with us in some ways. We're just like, what's the phrase? We're trying to be saintly troublemakers,
We know what to do with you. We know perfectly well.
So we'll see how things go. All right, I should go. I don't know about all the rest of you, but I have some rounds to do and some things. Thank you for Sangha today.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Leela Purushottam Prabhu, just a final little comment. Please do me a favor. Do pranayam every day for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You know, the other devotee, you know why? For years, he stands for 8 hours a day over deep frying oil and just breathes those fumes. And it just scares me. I want you to be taking part in the Sangha in 20 years from now. Also, please. So please, if you do a little pranayama, even 2 minutes a day, it's really good for your lungs. Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj does regularly.
That sounds like a wonderful promise that I'll be able to be in your Sangha next 20 years.
Well, I didn't say my Sangha. I said the Sangha. I'll be in a really old fossil at that time, but we'll see. Okay. Hare Krishna. My pranams.
Hare Krishna. Humble pranams, dear Vaishnavas.
Vanchakalpa Vidibhishcha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nandikari Vaishnava.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.